Christelle from Diabetes Strong. In this video, we're going to be talking about hiking and diabetes. I'll be showing you what I bring along when I go hiking, as well as how I manage my blood sugars before and during a hike. I've been living with type 1 diabetes since 1997, and I've been a huge fan of hiking for at least the last 10 years. I hike a lot locally where I live in California, as well as whenever I travel. Most often my hikes are in the morning, so that means I'll eat breakfast and then I'll go for my hike. I'll come home and enjoy a lunch. So I usually don't bring food along with me. I also, for the most part, don't hike alone. I often hike with my husband. So I do have, let's say, my support team with me. Sometimes I will hike alone though. So when I do, I rely a lot on the strategies I'll be talking through today, because it's all about building confidence and knowing how to prepare for a hike. If you do so, there's no reason why you couldn't be hiking with diabetes. This is my hiking bag. So let me show what's in it, what I bring along. It is really cool, just functionality wise. It has room for 2 water bottles. It has a little bit of padding here. Good wide straps, goes around the hips. Have 3 rooms, 1, 2, 3. I'll go through them, and then I just have my hand sanitizer. Blanking on the name of that, but let's just take this one out. Okay, so the main room. It's a big room. This is where I have all my sort of everyday stuff. I have a wallet. Always bring, credit card and cash. Sunglasses. I bring bug spray because I'm one of those people, if there's a mosquito around, it will come bite me. And this is where I have all my diabetes gear when I hike. So I bring the traditional stuff along. I have my insulin pen, my inhalable insulin. I have test strips and a meter. I do wear a CGM, but I've experienced that it went bad or lost signal, whatever, so I always want to bring my meter as well. So that is my diabetes gear. Put that aside. So you can see it's a pretty big room here. Then I have hand sanitizer, more of that. I have some bandage, just in case, hair tie, stuff like that. But big room. Actually, also these, because there's also a strap, so you can use it as a shoulder bag if you rather do that. I always have it around my hips. The next room, it's called the panic room. If anything goes wrong, my husband has been directed to go here, because this is where we have our glucagon. So this is a nasal glucagon. Glucagon is for severe low blood sugars. So this is kind of in case of emergency, if I pass out with a low blood sugar. That has never happened to me though, but it could. My husband can use this. You just squirt it into my nose and my blood sugar should get back to normal levels. So for less aggressive lows, I have a whole roll of glucose tabs. I like these. These are raspberry. They're just from my local pharmacy. Fruit strip, 12 grams of carbs, just if needed. And then tissues, because sometimes you need tissues. And there's room for more stuff here as well. And then the last room is front room. I usually put keys and stuff like that in here, but it's also suntan lotion, because even though I have a little bit of tan, still wear it suntan. And I think there's a chapstick. Yeah, there should be a chapstick as well with SPF. Need it. And that, what I bring along with me when I hike. Let's talk about how I manage my blood sugars for a hike. If it's a known hike, meaning a hike I've done several times, I usually have a good feel for how to manage my blood sugars. However, I have different strategies depending on which type of hike it is. So let's take the first example. So if it's a longer hike with not a lot of elevation, for something like that, my strategy is to reduce my mealtime insulin. As I mentioned, I often have breakfast and then I leave for my hike. What I do is I dial back my insulin for that meal with about 25%. then I walk my hike, and I wear a CGM, or a continuous glucose monitor, so that one will alert me if my blood sugars start to creep out of range. But in general, my strategy is to walk my hike about at the halfway point. That's when I make a decision. If my blood sugars have started to creep up a little bit too much, for me that's over 160 milligrams per deciliter, I'll often give myself a correction, but not until I'm at the halfway point, because I still have an hour to go until I'm back to the car. And I don't want that correction to make my blood sugars go low. For steeper hikes, or hikes that are a little bit more of a workout for me, I usually have a different strategy. So one of my favorite hikes out here in California is Temescal Canyon hike. And there I basically climb a very steep hill for about 40 minutes. A workout like that will actually make my blood sugars go up. Okay, and I know this through experience. So what I do for a hike like that is I actually go in with a full bolus for my meal. I will climb those 40 minutes, get to the top, and then I will check in with my blood sugar. So kind of the same strategy for both type of hikes. And this is the halfway point. At the halfway point, I then make a decision to see, do I need more insulin? Okay, because I would rather start a hike with a little less insulin on board, with the risk of seeing my blood sugars creep up a little bit, and then I can do a correction halfway, than going in with too much insulin on board and increase the risk of a low blood sugar. This is my strategy. You might want to do something else. That's completely fine. I do rely on my CGM just throughout the hike. I will look at my readings occasionally just to make sure that I'm still where I want to be. If, however, my CGM is acting up, which it does sometimes, like this, where it kept cutting out during a hike actually, in those situations, I will switch to old-fashioned finger sticks and measure my blood sugar that way. If I travel, or if I just try new hikes here in the area, I won't necessarily know beforehand how my blood sugars will react, but I will apply the same strategies as I have for my 2 base hikes. So what I do is I always look up my hikes. I want to know how long is it. I want to know, are there any steep elevations? Basically, what can I expect? So let's say that I find a new hike, it's very steep, there's a big climb, maybe up to an hour. Well, if that's the case, then I'll apply the same strategy as I have for my, my well-known Temescal hike. So I will go in with a full bolus. If I read up on the hike and it's 2 to 3 hours long, it's flat terrain, it's more of a nature walk maybe, I will definitely dial back my insulin. So again, what I've learned is I've learned how I generally react to 2 types of different hikes, and then I try to apply that learning to any new hikes that I want to go explore. What I also do when I go for a new hike is I am always very cautious in the sense that I do check in with my blood sugars frequently. If I'm wearing my CGM, I will be checking my reader. If I am not wearing a CGM or the CGM is acting up, I will be doing finger sticks before, during, and once I'm done with my hike. I hope that your takeaway from this video is that hiking with diabetes is definitely possible, but you do have to plan ahead. You have to bring the right things with you, and you have to manage your blood sugars for whatever hike that you're doing. So my advice would be learn how your blood sugar reacts to different types of hikes, and then apply that and go out and explore the world. Thank you so much for watching.